Hi, welcome to SCW. It's a live stream time, baby. We are live, and Jill, and just like Jason Derulo today, I'm riding solo. So I need all your questions to keep me busy over the next period. Going to be talking WWE Night of Champions. It's a Q&A special on that show. I've got a bit to discuss at the start of the video as well. AEW Collision has finally been announced as well. Of course, give my reaction to that as well if you didn't get the chance to see yesterday's video. And of course, Double or Nothing is next week as well, along with Night of Champions, Impact Under Siege. There's so much wrestling. We've got NXT Battleground as well. So lots to discuss. So get yourself involved with your favorite topics here today. But we won't waste any time. We're getting straight into the chat. Eric Douglas in the house, doing very well. Eric, hope you're doing well as well. Thank you for checking out the stream, and thank you for your comment earlier on as well. Talking about the idea of Tony Storm potentially winning the championship at Double or Nothing against Jamie Hayter. Well, Jamie Hayter currently got an injury, and the idea that Jamie can win it back in the UK, but more importantly, Tony Storm actually getting a recognised AEW Women's Championship run. I really like that idea. When I first heard this match was going to be announced, Eric, I'm not going to lie to you, my friend, I thought easily Jamie Hayter retains here. I thought it's just they're going to throw another rematch, but the idea of that, quite like it indeed. So thank you for sharing that, Eric. And as well, Robbie Collins in the house as well. He says, hi, Steve, how are you doing? I'm doing very well, Robbie. I hope you are doing well as well. Obviously, you know soccer pretty well. It's been a fantastic night for me on the football front. So yeah, hope you're keeping well as well. And hope St Mirren are doing well in the Scottish League as well. But let's start things off then while I'm waiting for a few questions to come in to talk about WWE Night of Champions and pretty much why I think WWE has got this card so far spot on. Now, yeah, we can take aside the idea of SmackDown being involved on a Raw Championship, but I do like the buzz and excitement of if that SmackDown superstar wins, they could go over to Monday Night Raw. That could create a few questions and a few answers going forward, especially when you think about the likes of, well, would it be a trade? Will someone else go over to SmackDown? Will Roman Reigns eventually end up on Raw with 2 championships? There's lots of different things you can discuss and digress from the show, and why I think it adds so much compelling arguments and questions going into the show. Like I say, first and foremost, Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles. For me, it's a great match to see, and one reason why it's the right 2 competitors to go for this championship, it's 2 superstars in recent memory who have not lost to Roman Reigns whilst he's been head of the table. We know Seth freaking Rollins, of course, has not lost to Roman Reigns. He's the only guy not to lose to Roman on this reign. Of course, the Royal Rumble, what was it now, in 2022, was it, when he won the match via DQ, of course, and since not got that other opportunity to win the championship, but now has a chance to win a world championship. AJ Styles, the last time he was against Roman Reigns was, well, 2016. So I guess anything could happen if they were to wrestle now. Roman would win. But still, the idea is there. It doesn't feel like such a consolation prize. But of course, it is the one World Heavyweight Championship that is on the line during this show. So for me personally, I think that makes it in the spotlight. It should be the main event of the show. Roman Reigns is going for the tag team championships, which of course some would say, well, surely he should defend his own championships. Well, the spotlight's on the World Heavyweight Championship, not on his titles. He has a 1,000-day reign at that point, but let's face it, who faces Roman Reigns at this show and actually wins? Cody, if anybody, but if not, nobody. So for me, I think it's the right thing. Roman here was solo, going for the tag team titles against Sammy and KO, who were going to Saudi Arabia, by the way. Now, I'm not going to keep this too political. It's not really that kind of show. I like to keep it fun and light. But apparently Saudi Arabia and Syria on sort of better terms, if you will, going forward. Sami Zayn is allowed to travel to this show now. So Sami Zayn is going to this show. It's quite fun to see that Sami Zayn will be there. Last time they did Crown Jewel, Sami Zayn was literally the call of the crowd. So the fact he will be there, I imagine he's going to get a pretty good reception, to be fair. And it could be good for the publications and stuff like that. But for the match itself, what we're interested in talking about, Sami Zayn and KO against Roman and Solo, well, actually, there's an idea that Roman could win the titles. What happens if that does happen? Does Roman all of a sudden get to go on Raw? Because Sami and KO currently are on SmackDown. Is that how we get Roman versus Cody at SummerSlam, or is it something like Money in the Bank? There are other questions. What happens with the Usos? How are they going to feel with their involvement in this match, of course? Are they going to feel like, well, look, we're cast to the side? Will it end up being Roman and Solo versus the Usos, as Zero News is reporting for SummerSlam? I don't see that happening at SummerSlam, but maybe at Money in the Bank, but don't see it at SummerSlam. I think Roman should be defending a title at SummerSlam. But still, you can see there's excitement, there's twists and turns of any way it can go. And of course, the other situation would be, what if Solo eats the pin here at this show? Does Roman then turn on Solo? Is punishment coming for Solo Sikoa, along with what we've seen with the Usos in the past? Is that going to throw more fuel to the fire eventually when the Usos and Solo, if they turn on Roman Reigns? Of course, that's the idea that I think would have happened a while ago now, but we're still waiting on it and playing it out. I think it will eventually happen. Or what if Roman eats his first pinfall since 2019 in a tag team match? He could say, look, it still wasn't his fault, and it'd be even more irate the fact he was the one that didn't get the job done. There's more questions than answers going into the match, which for me makes it more exciting. I like the idea of Becky versus Trish Stratus. I think that's going to be an awesome match as well. Two of the ladies that are arguably two of the top legends of all time. We know we've got Gunther against Mustafa Ali. I think that's going to be a fun little match as well. Glad Gunther is on the show. I don't see Mustafa Ali winning that match, to be honest. Not every match can be a 20-minute masterclass. We're already building to Gunther versus Riddle further down the line after Raw this week. But certainly for Mustafa Ali to get his moment here, to get a match here on a big show, to try and win the championship, I think that is pretty exciting. There is one other match on the show, and unfortunately, it escapes the frame right now. We're 6 minutes in. Someone let me know in the comments, but let's go to your comments because a few people are getting involved. It's great to see it. Like I said, get the questions in nice and early as well. I'd like to get your thoughts on anything pro wrestling. We can talk about Knockout Night Champions. We can talk about Double or Nothing. We can talk about Collision. We can talk about anything wrestling related. Get yourselves involved and make yourself heard. You'll get a shout out as well. Wrestle Boom in house as well. Is it like an Adam Cole boom, by the way? I really hope it is. Saying, what's up, Steve? Hope you're doing well, Wrestle Boom. Thank you for checking out the stream and hope you are keeping well. Robbie says he's good. I'm very pleased with West Ham. Thank you so much indeed. You can see the colour scheme as well I've done here. Although we'll be playing Fiorentina in the final. Have the same colour scheme. Make of that what you will. Seeing AJ Styles versus Cross is maybe in the plans. Would love to see that. I have not seen that, Robbie, but I've got to say that is an exciting proposition as well. I like the idea of Karrion Kross being built up and certainly be a bigger challenger going forward in WWE. AJ Styles has come back and is seen as a big deal, nice and early doors. So for me, this would actually tick a lot of boxes for me, and I would imagine AJ Styles would come out the victor at this stage. But certainly, the Cross to be mixing up with those names that are going for world heavyweight titles can't be a bad thing. So not against that at all. We've got Eric Douglas saying, who's Alice Fox? I'm guessing you go Alicia Fox, maybe. I don't know. Why weren't Nathan Frazier talking about her to Noam Dar? Okay. I have no idea with that. I'm going to be honest, Eric. I must have missed that. I have no idea what happened there. I know Nathan Frazier interrupted Noam Dar's Supernova sessions on NXT this week. I know that set up the match for NXT Battleground with Dragon Lee and Noam Dar. Thank goodness, I think Dragon Lee will hopefully win that match. I've got to say, I'm not a big fan of Noam Dar. I don't know what it is. I can't connect to it. I know he's supposed to be whiny. He is doing his job well, but I can't connect to it. It's one of those go away heats rather than like natural heel heat for me. But hopefully Supernova will do more to pull it at the back. Because I used to be quite a big fan of his back in the early days when he came in through the Cruiserweight Classic. Seth versus AJ at Night of Champions could be match of the year so far. Joe, I could agree with you that these two had an absolute banger back in Money in the Bank a few years ago. I imagine they'll do the same here. And this match for me has all the potential in the world, like I said, to be a match of the year candidate. And I'm really looking forward to it. And what's really exciting as well is that if many would say a foregone conclusion, Seth would win. We've seen now Seth obviously has been involved in the Marvel movie this week as well. He's been on set, which is why he's not been on Raw this week. Well, he will not be on Raw next week, allegedly. And maybe it's give WWE some cold feet if he's going to do some Hollywood stuff. Who knows? What if AJ Styles does win, ladies and gents? What would you be angry at the idea if AJ Styles won this match? Or is it really Seth and only Seth's time at this point? We've got Eric says, Priest wins at Nova. At Nova, maybe is that meant to be an abbreviation for another show? Maybe he will win. Maybe Priest will win at some point. Money in the Bank he's teased to be in, I know, Eric, at this particular point. So I have to wait and see what will happen if it is actually is included in that match in the end. Wrestle Boom says Imperium versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus Judgment Day at Money in the Bank. Would love the concept of that, and that's something that makes me feel that KO and Sami could have the edge when it comes to this show going on at Night of Champions because they just won the championships. But I love WWE are building that storyline on Raw. Like you said, that Imperium are getting involved, Judgment Day are getting involved. And it does feel like all of a sudden that they were the hunters, Sami Zayn and KO trying to take down the bloodline. Now they're the hunted. Everyone wants to come and gun for those tag team championships. It's quite a good storyline the way it's been presented so far on Monday Night Raw. Or Ali should win some kind of championship soon. I agree, actually, with that sentence there. It's a shame, really, at the moment that Gunter is on such a tear right now because it just doesn't give anybody else a chance at this moment. But maybe at some point further down the line, I wouldn't be against Ali being in a group again at some point, maybe a team, something like that. Maybe going for tag team gold, although as we just spoke above there are some pretty impressive teams going for that gold as well at the moment. But Ali will get his time. We'll just have to wait and see when it will be. Daz says, big up. What do you think will main event a night of champions? Great question, Daz. I hope you're doing well, Daz. Thank you for checking out the stream. I really do think that Seth versus AJ should main event. And I'm going to stick my neck out and say, I think it will main event. I've got a funny feeling that Roman and Solo will open the show against Sammy and KO because Roman usually opens the show or closes it. I think that that's what's going to happen. If they put the World Heavyweight Championship as the opener or match 4 or something like that, it all of a sudden has that consolation prize feeling again. So for me, it's very important that it's the main event of this show. So I'm actually going to stick my neck out and say that I think it will be the main event of this show. I think that they will make sure they get this championship right at the very, very start. WrestleBoom says there is rumors Ilya Dragunov will join Imperium. I have seen that rumor going around. Actually, I have seen it this week, and I've got to say, I'm quite excited about the proposition. I know Ilya Dragunov did have a feud going on with Gunter back in the day, of course, of NXT UK, and of course, that did go on to NXT at one point. 2 fantastic 5-star matches that they did have. But for me, Ilya Dragunov, I wonder if he went to a Raw SmackDown, how he would fit in. For me, going in as a member of the group Imperium, I think would be a great fit. And of course, he kind of has the jacket vibe already that Gunter has going on. So for me, I quite like the idea of it. I think there would be a nice way to bring him in. You could always do the breakup storyline further down the line. But yeah, as a transition to introduce him to the audience, I think it would be good because Imperium now have really made themselves a mainstay in WWE. And of course, the group naturally did have 4 members at one point with Alexander Wolf being in there. Of course, he's no longer with the company. So Ilya Dragunov for me would be a fantastic standing replacement. Someone who could go for the mid-card titles, as we said, when Gunter is ready to be a main event talent on Monday Night Raw. Robbie's saying that no one used to date Alicia Fox. That's why. Thank you for clarifying, Robbie. I did not know that. It's a great bit of information there. Of course, they both did share a locker room. Of course, Noam Dar was quite frequently on Monday Night Raw, of course, when he first joined the company after the Cruiserweight Classic. WrestleBoom suggesting the idea of Drew McIntyre versus Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam, a match I'd really like to see, and something that I would agree with is that Drew McIntyre, I think, will return to the company in the near future. I think he'll be back in time for Money in the Bank. I think that's where we'll see him first apply his part of the storyline. I wouldn't be surprised if it was against Seth Rollins at that show. The idea of trying to win the world title one more time in front of the UK crowd. I think failing it would lead to that heel turn. And whether that would continue a storyline or not, I don't know. But one thing I would say, Drew versus Cody is a great storyline for Drew to do. I've talked about it before on the channel, but I'll briefly do it again for any that have missed it. Cody obviously has done the same as Drew. They've had to go away from WWE, reinvent themselves, come back, have that moment in the spotlight. The difference is that Cody remains in the spotlight despite the fact that he didn't win the championship. Drew McIntyre did win the championship, but won it in front of no fans. And he kind of probably would feel that people are not on his side the same way that they're on Cody's right now. So it's a natural way to just turn him heel, to have that jealousy factor creep in. Eric Douglas says, I think Raquel could win Raw or SmackDown title before the end of the year. Actually drafted as a Raw superstar, so once those tag team titles are gone, certainly could be a possibility. I think she's certainly a potential for Money in the Bank. I think that she could be one of those people. At the moment, Raquel, Liv, Io Sky are the 3 that I'm really keeping an eye out for here. So yeah, I have to wait and see what will happen, but I could agree with you. I think Raquel definitely is in with a shout. Robbie coming in saying, I absolutely love Noam Dar. Seeing him coming through Scotland, it's great to see Noam get his spot in NXT. And do you know what? It just shows the dreams that can come true. Obviously, that a young lad from Scotland managing to break his way through into WWE. I remember the days when he was on the WCPW on the What Culture Wrestling back in the day. And like I said, I was a fan when I started. I think it's just recently, I think it's just the direction of the character that I've just lost a bit touch with. But I will say that Noam Dar, superb in-ring talent. And I've got to say the match of him, Dragon Lee, will be fantastic at Battleground. I'm looking forward to that. Eric clarifying he thinks beats Roman at Night of Champions. If only the match was booked for you, Eric. If only the match was booked. But Damien Priest, a future world champion, seems to be popular in amongst the ranks. And I've got to say, I would agree with WrestleBoom and Eric that Damien Priest certainly has got a bright future ahead of him. He is seen as a top guy going forward now after the match with Bad Bunny. And of course, so he should. Bad Bunny got all the praise for that match, but it does take two to tango. Damien Priest played his role to perfection on that show, showed he could be trusted as well with a mainstream superstar, made the spotlight perfect as well for that match. Damien Priest, I think, will have some bright moments going in the future. Could potentially be a Money in the Bank winner, although this particular moment, I may have my eye on one or two others potentially that could win it ahead of him. But we'll see who's in the match first before I give any predictions for Money in the Bank. But certainly, he's definitely in contention. Eric Douglas says, do you think Liv will be back by Night of Champions? Depends how bad that injury was. I'd like to think so. Clearly, Ronda and Shayna have thrown the name in hats. I did predict that on the predicted match card for Night of Champions. I didn't know if Ronda and Shayna would return in time, but they obviously have. It all now depends on Liv Morgan. But it felt like they were going through the competition, Liv and Raquel, very, very quickly. Obviously, Sonya and Chelsea Green were supposed to take place on Raw this week. They'd already beaten Damage Control. It wouldn't have surprised me had this match been at Night of Champions. And it all depends if Liv gets back in time. But I do think that it will be a short run for Liv and for Raquel as women's tag team champions. But don't fear. The reason I say that is because I think that there will be challenges in the future for Rhea Ripley. But of course, Becky Lynch will be another one of those as well. Ironically, Rhea looking at the screen when Becky was on screen doing her promo this week on Raw. I wonder if they're building for that for Money in the Bank or for SummerSlam. WrestleBoom says Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles should main event at Night of Champions. I completely agree with you wholeheartedly. Also here, I hope Randy Orton will not retire this year. I really hope so as well. Health, of course, though, we always have to know it does come first end of the day. But yeah, Randy Orton apparently has been advised not to get back in the ring. We'll have to wait and see how that will play out. But of course, they did come from the source, his father. So I'm guessing that's a good source that would say that. But of course, Randy will be Randy, I believe, was the other quotation I've seen. So we'll wait and see with Randy Orton. I hope he doesn't, but let's be fair. If Randy was to hang up the boots tomorrow, easily first class Hall of Famer. Do you know what I mean? The guy has done absolutely everything there is to do. Has been unbelievable over the last 20 years or so. Robbie saying, could you imagine Drew next year at a pay-per-view in Scotland winning the belt, book it Triple H? Do you know what? Wales got it last year. Obviously, London's getting it this year. I think Scotland should get it next year. I'm going to throw that out to you, Robbie. How about sort of, one of the big sort of stadiums there, maybe Hampden Park, something like that? Would that be a fitting, suitable place for a WWE show? I've got no doubt. I'm sure Robbie would be in the house front row and center if that booking was done. No doubt if WWE did do a show like that, Drew would have to go in as a babyface. Yeah, I would agree. If they do a show in Scotland, book it Triple H. WrestleBoom saying Shinsuke Nakamura or Apollo Crews should dethrone Gunter. A great point there. The fact of two possible challengers that could do so. Why not do a triple threat match where one of them does it and Gunter doesn't take the pinfall? That way Gunter's protected, and the idea then he can go straight to the main event scene without taking a pinfall loss. He hasn't been pinned since going over to SmackDown last year. Of course, I think the last pinfall defeat he suffered was against Bron Breakker on the last NXT. And you can tell the reason they did that was because they wanted to do that match before he left NXT. Robbie here saying, just flinging out a random one there. Go for it. Would love to see Damien Priest versus Logan Paul. Generally think this would be a great match. As would I. And the thing is, Damien Priest now has proven he could be trusted in that capacity. So, yeah, I think it would be a great match if they were to do it. Logan Paul has great matches with whoever he faces at this moment. I don't think it seems to matter. So, yeah, at some point, I think you're right. Could be a great match. Daz says, is there any announced for the AEW pay-per-view? So I'm guessing the matches. So this is the matches that we know so far then. So let's talk about AEW Double or Nothing. Daz, I'm very glad you brought it up, by the way. It gives me an opportunity to quickly talk about it while we get some more questions in. So yeah, we've got the four pillars, World Heavyweight Championship main event match. So we've got MJF defending against Jungle Boy, Sammy Guevara and Darby Allin. I will talk more detail next week of what I think of the build of this because it would probably take me a few minutes to go through it in proper depth. But I'll leave it with I think they could have booked it a bit better. But still, I think it's going to be an unbelievable four-way when they do put it together. But we know, of course, we've got the battle royale now, which is going to be done. It's not a casino battle royale anymore, but Orange Cassidy threw his name and hat, said anyone can go for this international championship. 20 people went to Tony Khan apparently. So yeah, it looks like we are getting. I think it's the blackjack battle royale going to be coming in, so that's quite fun to see that. We've got Jamie Hayter against Tony Storm for the AEW Women's World Championship. I think that will be a good match as well. Wardlow against Christian Cage in a ladder match for the TNT Championship. It seemed predictable, but certainly makes that match a lot more fun to watch. I'm quite looking forward to that one. We've got FTR against Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. Mark Briscoe, of course, is in the middle. He is going to be doing the role as special guest referee, which adds a little bit of spice to that match as well. I'm guessing, not booked as of yet, but I'm guessing we will be getting Chris Jericho, Adam Cole, and probably Jay White and Ricky Starks. Not been confirmed as of yet, but what we have got confirmed now as of the end of last night, Anarchy in the Arena. I predicted it a little while ago. It's come through. I'm really happy. I'm excited to see this match type come back once again. We've got the Blackpool Combat Club going against the Elite. And of course, when I say the Elite, it's not just Kenny Omega. It's not just the Young Bucks. The returning Hangman Adam Page. I didn't predict an eye patch, ladies and gentlemen, but we got an eye patch. And I've got to say, Hangman, I'm so pleased he's back. It was really well put together the way that they did it. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I do think there's more twists and turns coming. In fact, I'm going to give it away now because I've said it before on this channel. You've probably all seen it. So let's just quickly talk about it one more time. I think Don Callis and I think Takeshita are going to cost the Elite at this show. And I think they will bring in Kota Ibushi after the show to join with the Elite, the Golden Lovers, that reunion there. And that will build to blood and guts. We've got WrestleBoom here with Charlotte Flair versus Io Sky for the SmackDown Women's Championship at WrestleMania 40. Great suggestion. Io Sky versus Charlotte Flair is a match I would love to see. I know they've actually teased it before in NXT, but seeing it on a big stage like that certainly would be quite cool. Supposed to be Becky and Rhea, could be the summer feud. Eric, you could be right, my friend. It felt like that on Raw, that they were teasing that for further down the line. Obviously, Rhea's current program is Natalia. That could be taking place at Night of Champions. Hasn't been booked as of yet. And obviously, we could be getting Bianca Belair versus Asuka as well. That's looking like that could be teased also. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see how it's going to go. But I think Becky and Rhea is certainly going to be one. If it doesn't happen at Money in the Bank, being the UK crowd having Becky at that show go for the championship, it certainly could be SummerSlam, but they could do it over both shows. Could do a false finish at Money in the Bank. The UK crowd will love me for saying that. Also, we've got WrestleBoom suggesting Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Rodriguez or Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania 40. I think Becky Lynch will come sooner, but Ripley versus Raquel, I think, will happen later in the year. And yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see how it would go down. Robbie saying Hampden would be a magical for an event. I think it would be as well. I mean, obviously, watching football, soccer for the Americans watching, Hampden's always been a great venue, of course. It was used as well during the Euro 2020 as well tournament. Scotland had some very passionate crowd there for those fixtures. So I think, Scottish fans have always been very passionate with pro wrestling. Would be a great place to hold an event. Noob and Co TV in the house. Noob, hope you're doing well, my friend. Thank you for checking the stream out. I will answer your question now for you because I don't know if you put it lower in the comments, but I'll answer it for you now. Asking before we went on the stream today, my reaction to Asuka's return last week, and of course that missed in the face of Bianca Belair. Honestly, Noob, what I'm going to say to you, it's a rematch that we're going to get at Night of Champions. So that is a little bit of a shame that it's a rematch, kind of feels like it's just been flung together. But what I hope from this is that I hope the WWE goes all in on the heel turn for Asuka. You did suggest in that comment earlier on, is it the right thing for a character? Is it going to be good going forward for the summer? Will she get lost again? I hope she won't get lost. Maybe wrongs will be righted with the idea of this match going forward a second time round. But if I had to predict at this early stage, Bianca Belair, I think, would retain. But that's just an early prediction. We need to see more of this story play out. SmackDown, it was only about, 30 seconds to a minute segment last week. Not a lot to judge off it. All we know so far, Asuka has returned. She's returned as a heel now. It feels like they're going to really go for it with that heel push going forward. We can hope it's the Kana-like character. I haven't seen enough of it to really comment on that, but hopefully, fingers crossed, that the new direction there with Asuka going forward will be a lot stronger than what they did with the WrestleMania build in the end, because she was amazing at the Rumble. It started so well going into Elimination Chamber, then it fell flat at WrestleMania. Hopefully, for you, Noob, I know you're a big fan of Asuka. Hopefully, for all the Asuka fans, it will be stronger going forward afterwards. WrestleBoom says Austin Theory versus Cameron Grimes at Money in the Bank or SummerSlam. Certainly a possibility. Do not rule it out. Cameron Grimes getting a 7-second victory over Baron Corbin this past week on SmackDown. Are there plans in the works for Cameron Grimes to get a big push? We'll have to wait and see. And Austin Theory still your current United States champion. I expect this week on Friday SmackDown, Austin Theory versus Bobby Lashley to be confirmed for Night of Champions. But of course, that is not an inside source. That's just a prediction from me. Ed Fry is in the house from our local establishment. Hope you're doing well, Ed. Thank you for checking out the stream, my friend, and hope you are doing well. Robbie Collins says, God, that Anarchy in the Arena match was the first AEW match I watched live with the JS and Moxley and stuff. The match was brutal. I can't wait for the next one. As can I, Robbie. It was amazing last year. Obviously, replacing the idea of the Stadium Stampede going forward. So, yeah, you can't do Stadium Stampede when you have a proper crowd there, unless you're going to have a crowd built into the stadium. But at the same time, maybe it could be Anarchy in Hampden Park. Who knows if they ever took AEW there. But at the same time, I think it's going to be brilliant, Anarchy in the Arena. And of course, it is usually the tune-up for Blood and Guts. WrestleBoom suggesting the idea of Bobby Lashley being Mr. Money in the Bank. He's certainly been one of those rumored to be in the match. So let's see what will happen with that. Could be quite exciting. Bobby Lashley is Mr. Money in the Bank. Tell you what, if he was to cash in, you'd probably favor him, wouldn't you? And the fun part with Money in the Bank now this year, actually now at this point, is that Money in the Bank it doesn't have to go for Roman anymore. It doesn't have to go for a US champion either. It can go for the World Heavyweight Championship. That's what I assume. Anyway, at this point, be interested to see if that will be the way they do it. Robbie Collins says Bobby is a good shout for Money in the Bank. I only want to see one man win Money in the Bank. Yeah. And we all know what that means. LA Knight, certainly. The tag team with Boogs, I'm not sure about that. I know it was on the SmackDown Lowdown. I've not really watched the full thing through, but yeah, I want to see LA Knight be pushed on SmackDown as well. For Money in the Bank, that would be absolutely amazing. I'm pretty sure the UK crowd will be lapping up LA Knight's catchphrases. If WWE really wants to test the waters to see how popular LA Knight is, please book him in Money in the Bank this year. Daz here says, do you think Sting could turn on Darby? Great question, this one, Daz. I'm going to actually flip it for you. I think Darby's going to turn on Sting. I think once Darby fails here at this show, I think he'll feel that this was the pinnacle for him getting to the top. I know MJF was a part of the pinnacle. That's why I tried to throw that in there. But I think Darby will realize I didn't get the job done. I think Sting will continue to try and be mentory. And I think it will be to the point where Darby's just had enough. And I think that could be built potentially for All In, but I think more likely could be for All Out if I had to predict at this early stage. Eric says, imagine the pop for Mummy in a home country. Oh, Australia. I'm sure Australia's going to get a show at some point further down the line. Obviously, Grayson Waller getting the call up as well. Bronson Reed there. There's enough Aussie athletes now to really push that show. And Rhea Ripley being one of the top stars now in WWE. That's a great shout there. I think that Rhea certainly would get a big pop when they do a show eventually in Australia. Tino in the house. Tino's time. Do you know what, ladies and gentlemen? It doesn't matter what time in the world it is for you right now. One thing we can all agree on, it is Tino's time. How are you doing, Tino, my friend? Hope you are keeping well. He's streaming all the time, ladies and gentlemen, as well. And hope that he's having a good time, whatever he is doing right now. Nobuko TV says, I believe Oscar would feud with Damage Control in the summer just to get the Io Sky match out of the way. It's probably going to be a tag team match to get the NXT Women's Tag Team titles off of, I'm guessing that we go with Isla Dawn and Alba Fyre. There certainly could be a suggestion there going forward. And obviously, if you wanted to do that feud with Io Sky, she's teasing towards a face turn. So that match still could be in the works as well there. Oscar with Damage Control as well could be quite fun, depending on what they want to do with the group. At the moment, I see Bayley and I do see Dakota remaining heel, but hey, anything can happen at this particular stage. But yeah, exciting proposition. And obviously, Oscar to go for tag team gold, by the way. Probably not a bad shout if she's not going to beat Bianca Belair. That's certainly a way to make her a champion in WWE and give her a prominent role moving forward. WrestleBoom here says, my prediction for the main event of SummerSlam 2023 will be McIntyre versus Rollins versus Rhodes versus Balor for the World Heavyweight Championship. And what a great prediction that is there. 4 top guns there going for that championship. I imagine Roman will main event that show, but for that World Heavyweight Championship, that certainly would be a deserving fatal 4-way main event if it was there. I love Tino's asking how everyone's doing today. Tino, you are the man, my friend. Eric giving his prediction as well, saying Sammy wins money in the bank. And Tino, stop it. You're too kind, my friend. That's very kind of you to say. And also, Wrestler Boom here says, I predict Io Sky or Raquel Rodriguez will win women's money in the bank ladder match there. And certainly, those are two that I would definitely keep an eye out for, certainly, when it comes to money in the bank this year for the women. Eric Douglas here says, I think one of three will defeat MJF. Interesting. Adam Cole, Malachi Black, or Wardlow. Early prediction, I would say Adam Cole for me would be the best of those three. But I mean, Wardlow, that story, if he goes full circle, if you can push that guy to the top, would be quite fun. Malachi Black, obviously in the trio stuff right now, but hey, who knows one day? Could certainly be interesting if it was to happen. Robbie going in with Shotzi or Dakota Kai for the women's Money in the Bank. One can dream. And you know, one can dream, Robbie, at this point. But I've got a funny feeling that one or both certainly could be in that match. We'll have to wait and see how it would be booked. Tino's Time says, if you did or not, who faces Theory? Nothing's confirmed at the minute, Tino, but I'm assuming, again, I'm assuming that Bobby Lashley and Theory will be booked this week on SmackDown for Night of Champions. It feels weird both not being on the Night of Champions card. Obviously, there is a bit of fallout coming from the Backlash show. Obviously, the same finish from Backlash was done on SmackDown this past week, although Bobby Lashley got the pin on Theory. I'm guessing some form of revenge to build the match will happen this week on SmackDown. So I expect Theory versus Bobby Lashley to be added to the Night of Champions card. WrestleBoom says, if Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa win at Night of Champions, then I will be mad. And there were some capitals there for will be mad. Do you know what? I can understand that. Roman with 4 championships. I mean, how many more does the guy need? I mean, you only need 1 belt to keep your trousers up, ladies and gentlemen. You don't need more than that. To have 4 is just greedy at this point. And to be fair, if he's going to go for more, I assume he would go for the World Heavyweight Championship. But as I said, the idea, though, if Roman does win, Roman gets to go on Raw. And something I didn't discuss about earlier, WWE is going to renew those TV deals soon. That could be a reason to get Roman on both shows. I know this is going to upset a lot of people, so I'm not putting this into the world. It's just what I think, why they would do it for their logical reasons. If Roman's on Raw and SmackDown, that would help with their negotiations to get more money for the TV deals. But also, just think about the idea that he could then find a way to do Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. And if Cody was to win those championships, say AJ Styles won the World Heavyweight Championship and remained on SmackDown, maybe the other championships moved over to Raw. The draft shouldn't be this difficult, should it be, guys and girls? But I'll tell you what, it's still exciting. We've got lots to talk about. That's at least something. It's not just a complete bore, is it? But yeah, that's my added take on it. Tina Syme says, that's what I thought, but didn't know if anything was added. There's only still like 4 or 5 matches added to this show at this point. I'm expecting 2 or 3 more to be added as we get to the show. But obviously, we've got SmackDown this week to take place. I imagine Raw next week if there's going to be anything else added. If there was anything added from Raw, I'm guessing now it would be Rhea versus Natalia. But that's just me going into speculation station at this point. Tina says, no way they win. No way. But he does agree. It's all about that money. Yeah, it's all about that money. Yeah. Classic crime time there for you. Also, Bad Bunny versus Logan Paul for SummerSlam. Well, Bad Bunny has been rumored for SummerSlam. I saw a graphic going around a little while ago about Bad Bunny challenging Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. Would you want to see that match? I don't know. I understand it from a mainstream point of view, but Roman wouldn't lose the championships, would he? Bad Bunny versus Logan Paul, celebrity versus celebrity. I think people would be invested, and you know what? I don't think it'd be the worst match on the card as well if they would do it. But hey, it could be fun. Robbie here saying, I will say this. I love the thought of J.D. McDonough getting a push soon. That man will shine. And do you know what? I agree with you. The Battle Royal at the start almost did the boy dirty. But the fact he went for Dolph Ziggler afterwards and the way that they followed that up there with a video package for him to explain who and what he's about, to then do the promo backstage, for then Finn Balor watching from afar. Finn Balor, of course, for those that are not aware, did train JD McDonough. Of course, that was the protege when they started with NXT UK. JD McDonough was there from the beginning as Jordan Devlin. So yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that Jordan Devlin is going to be fine on the Raw roster with or without Judgment Day. It feels like they found a spot for this guy, and it feels like it could be a good time to be a JD McDonough fan. I think he's going to be doing pretty well on the main roster. What's everybody's thoughts of AEW Collision, by the way? I'd love to know everyone's thoughts of the new show coming to AEW. Is there too much wrestling? Are you excited for it? Is CM Punk coming back? Let me know your thoughts about AEW Collision in the comments. I'll be talking about it in a few short moments. But before I do, WrestleBoom here says, I think Dragon Lee will get called up later this year and he will join the LWO. Never say never. And do you know what? Dragon Lee has done unbelievable work so far in NXT. And do you know what? I think he's a guy that is already made for Raw or SmackDown. LWO wouldn't be against it. Especially as I think that they will turn on Rey Mysterio at some point later this year as well. I think we get Santos versus Rey Mysterio. So if they wanted to bring Dragon Lee up as well, Dragon versus Rey is a match you'd need to do before Rey Mysterio retires. Well, while I'm waiting for a few more comments to come flying through, I'm going to talk about AEW Collision. Now, if you didn't get the chance to see the video yesterday, I did a quick video. I literally had like 5 minutes spare, so just threw it into there unedited and just threw it out for you. So I hope that people did enjoy it, that did see it, but just to give a bit more detail for it, obviously, we've got another show coming on Saturday nights now. Of course, it's going to be a 2-hour show. Dark and Dark Elevation, I believe, are going to be just now membership for the YouTube channel. It's not going to be just thrown on YouTube going forward. They seem to have scrapped that. We're going to have Dynamite and Rampage taped on Wednesdays. We're going to have Collision and ROH on Saturdays. We could, it seems, be getting a hard draft coming in as well. I'm excited about the prospect of that. I think that that means talents will not be overexposed. I think the idea as well that talents that don't get enough TV time now get more opportunities as well. So yeah, I think it's going to be good for the product overall. I'm hoping to see, as we've seen, the talents that have been introduced so far for this show. Thunder Rosa is going to be on this show. Miro, Andrade El Idolo, Powerhouse Hobbs. I mean, these are talents that don't get enough TV time to begin with. Obviously, Thunder Rosa and Miro being called back last week, that clearly shows what the direction was for this here. I think that it has potential to be a great thing. Is it leading to a CM Punk return? I think it is. I know there's some reports going around today suggesting maybe it may not be, but if you look up the people that are on that poster, they are all people that CM Punk has been linked with in the past. FTR on that poster to start off with. That's a trio that they like to work with. He's wrestled Powerhouse Hobbs in the past. He must be a fan. To suggest as well, Thunder Rosie's been getting on pretty well with backstage when they've had discussions of like, I think Punk said the idea that he was nervous of going out. Thunder Rosa came and said, relax, you've got this. Samoa Joe is the rumored opponent he wants to work with first. He's been advertised for this show. House of Black as well there. So I just, for me, it looks to me a bit like CM Punk has kind of said, like, yeah, these are the people I want on here. Champions are as well, I think, are going to be exempt for this draft if it's going to take place. I think that's the right move, the money move. You should always have champions can go on whatever show, especially if you have one world champion. MGF, of course, as well, had a great program with CM Punk in the past. So, yeah, I think that works pretty well. If you want to then keep people away from one another, Punk, the Elite, stuff like that, works pretty nicely. And as Tino has said as well in the comments, which I'll put up there as well, seeing the WCW colors, it is basically AEW Saturday Nitro. That's pretty much what the colors of the logo are. But I'm not going to lie to you, as a person who grew up with WCW, I absolutely love the logo. I don't care if it's a ripoff or not. I absolutely adore that logo. For me, it's absolutely amazing. So yeah, that's that 90s nostalgia wrestling fan coming out in me. But yeah, for me, I'm excited about it. I do feel to myself there is too much wrestling, though, going on a weekly basis. A show on Saturdays as well is people busy on Saturdays. People go and they'll have a drink, they go out with their partners, go to the cinema. That's your usual day of break to go and do something if you want to go and do something out. Will people have time for it? I guess time will tell if it will work nicely with this. But for me, looking at this, something I didn't mention on yesterday's video, and I will reiterate it one more time. This to me really does look like it's the CM Punk show. It looks like it's been held a week before it's going to be advertised where it's going to be. I think it's going to be advertised for Chicago. There seems to be the rumor out there. So yeah, I do believe that CM Punk, this is his show, people he wants to work with. And I think that I wouldn't be surprised if more people that have been aligned with CM Punk in the past, aka like a Wardlow, for example, maybe someone like Britt Baker ends up on that show. Adam Cole, he spoke highly of in the past as well. I wouldn't be surprised if talents like that ended up on Collision. And for those newbies coming in as well, think about someone like Jay White, for example. You have the Elite on one show, you have all this other stuff. Maybe it's good for the people like Bullet Club Gold to get themselves a prominent position where they're top of the card on a Saturday show rather than being in the sort of mid-card area on the Wednesday show. So it's exciting to see what will be. The last thing I'll say to it very quickly, there was rumors before as well about Chris Jericho being a rumored opponent for CM Punk. He's not on the poster, so that makes me think perhaps maybe Jericho would be staying on Wednesday nights. I'm just going to, before I go into the comment, I have seen this one straight away. Where is Miro? He did return on Dynamite last week, going into Tony Khan's office. I wonder if he went into office this week, going for Orange Cassidy's International Championship. But at the same time, he will be on Collision come June the 17th. We know that for sure. He's been advertised heavily for that show. Miro, Andrade, Thunder Rosa as well. Just to say, those names have all been missing, all been linked with controversy as well with AEW, whether they're hard to work with or whatever. They all seem to be being thrown on one show. It's either going to be a recipe that's going to work so well, or it's going to be a complete disaster. But one thing's for sure, I'm excited to see a number of those talents come back who have been missing. I can't lie, I'm a CM Punk fan. I want to see CM Punk back, whether it's good or bad for the business. CM Punk does create news. It does draw a rating. Miro, for me, as mentioned a minute ago there, WrestleMania UK did a fantastic video the other day suggesting the idea he should go back for the TNT Championship. I love the idea of that, by the way. I think that's what I'd like to see him come back and do. Rather than, he's the redeemer after all. Rather than actually be someone who's the redeemer for himself from losing matches, maybe he can redeem for lost time and see how bad the TNT Championship has been since he left there, and actually try and redeem that title by winning back. I think that could be a fun little storyline. And obviously Thunder Rosa, we should go back for the Women's Championship, one she never lost. That's certainly a possibility as well. Like the idea of Rosa versus Hayter, could be an exciting match. So yeah, there's a lot of exciting prospects, and Andrade has been missing for a long time. Will Rouge end up with him on Collision as well? Of course, that's another exciting proposition. One last thing I'll say then before I go back to the comments, because you've all been so very kind, throwing some more comments in for me. I just want to say quickly about the idea of a group now that slipped my mind as I went to get the comments up. Who did I think of? Oh no, that's embarrassing. I've completely forgot what I was going to talk about. It doesn't matter. I'll go to the comments. If it comes back to me, I'll bring it up. But yeah, never mind. Just never mind. We'll move on. Robert Collins says, I'm glad more people are getting to see the best tag team. Yes, boy. Pretty Deadly making their in-ring debut on SmackDown this upcoming week. I'm looking forward to that. Should be pretty exciting to see. That last comment then that came to my mind has come back to me. Thank goodness indeed. Ring of Honor. Of course, that little chestnut, Ring of Honor, it's pretty much the NXT at this point. It feels like Dynamite is the Raw. If there's a Collision, is the SmackDown. Ring of Honor is the NXT, and of course, Rampage is your main event. That is your WWE styles of AEW, TV each and every week. And if you ask my opinion, Ring of Honor really should be like the NXT, that developmental. You should make sure that all of those people are separated on different shows. That's how I would see Collision going forward. But there you go. That's enough of me talking about it. It's time to get your thoughts, your comments, and all things pro wrestling, and just a bit more love for Pretty Deadly being on the main roster. Yes, boy. I can't wait for their match this week on SmackDown. I think they'll be beating the Brawling Brutes. Daz says, I think it's a good show. Also, Punk is coming back. So Daz is certainly in favor with AEW Collision. That is good to see. I want to see succeed, obviously. I want to see wrestling succeed. If there's something going on, I want it to be a big deal. I'll be keeping up the show in some format in the best way I possibly can. Whether it means I have to watch it a day later, 2 days later, I will always do my best to keep up to date with everything pro wrestling related. Tino's Time says, I like it, but if it's now, it's too much because now with pay-per-views and PLE, there is wrestling every day. I don't know about others, but sometimes a day off is nice. Tino, I agree with you. I think a day off can be nice from pro wrestling. And yeah, I agree that the idea of it is it could be too much. I feel sorry actually for, let's say, indie companies, minor companies, if you will. They are going to get less eyes on their product now, and that's really sad to see. I mean, think of like the impacts of this world, the GCWs, NWAs, whatever you're into. Wow, those companies now, MLW, they will probably get less love and less attention because WWE and AEW literally dominate the market. One other point I'm just going to make very quickly as well. I'm going to say also, if the relationship ever goes bad with New Japan Pro Wrestling, Forbidden Door can become a brand new concept show. If AEW really wants to commit to a hard brand split where people do not go to opposite shows apart from champions, because then literally you can do next year Dynamite versus Collision, the Forbidden Door each and every year. Yes, it's basically Survivor Series, what it was in 2016 to 2021. 2020, yeah, it was 2021 the last time they did it. Literally, you could do that, and then that's your gimmick thing you do each and every year. You could even come up with a different concept if you wanted to still do that show. You could even do Dynamite versus Collision versus New Japan or versus Ring of Honor if you want. You could do whatever you wanted from these shows. It certainly gives a new idea for Forbidden Door for AEW each and every year if there was a time where New Japan were not involved. As we already mentioned earlier on from Tino as well, he said that, but he said it's 2 hours as well, so it's going to be a bit of a longer show. He says, "Oh no, yeah." I mean, if it was like Battle of the Belts, I mean that's another show AEW does as well. By the way, Battle of the Belts. There is so much wrestling, but it is what it is. For those that love their pro wrestling, hey, it's a great time to be a fan. Robbie says, "Do you know what time Collision is for UK viewers? Due to it being a Saturday, I'd be able to watch it anyways, but I'd like a show at my time." Sadly, Robbie, it's not going to be for our time. There was rumors originally it was going to go back to because used to be in the old days WCW used to have Saturdays 6:05 Eastern time, which would for us have been 11:05 p.m. Sadly, it's going to be 8 p.m. Eastern, which means it's the casual each and every time we have a show on. It's going to be at 1 a.m. So, yeah, it's a very late one for the UK viewing to watch Collision going forward. Wrestle Broom giving us here Bron Breakker main roster call up to main roster after SummerSlam or NXT Battleground. Certainly, NXT Battleground is going to be interesting because this Bron Breakker has a brand new character going forward. Going to be interesting to see if he wins the championship back. If you're going to ask my opinion, not a prediction, but an opinion at this point, I think it's too early for Melo to lose that championship. I want to see him establish it, especially the fact he's going back to Massachusetts with that championship. But Bron Breakker's main roster call-up has to be imminent, has to be some point in the near future. Could be after Battleground, it could be after SummerSlam. WrestleBoom, I think you could be onto something. Nubico TV says Oscar needs to stop chasing after titles against tougher opponents, i.e. Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair, etc., and start telling stories. Like I said, Oscar versus Io Sky and Damage Control. It would be a fun feud with Damage Control. Would not like Io Sky as well. Is a match. That's a match. If you ask me any match I want to see, Oscar versus Io is the one. I'm going to be honest with you. But Oscar needs to go for those championships. It would be if you're not there for the win the title, why are you there? But I do agree at the moment. She does seem to be booked against opponents at a time when it can probably harm her character more. So, I mean, obviously, WWE's booking needs to really think about it if she's going to go for these type of challenges. But for me, I would have liked to have seen her against Rhea Ripley again. I think that would be a match we've not seen for a couple of years. This variation of Rhea seems to be an unstoppable monster. Oscar as well. I did like her comeback as well. Would have been a fun match to have seen it playing with those two characters. WrestleBroom as well saying that Bron Breakker's first feud should be Drew McIntyre or Matt Riddle or Bobby Lashley. Sign me up for any, but I'm guessing Bron Breakker now would come in as a heel. So I'm guessing, depending where he was to land on, if it was Raw, Matt Riddle, or SmackDown, Bobby Lashley, not against either, but I'd definitely make sure Bron Breakker wins those first matches. That's what I would say instantly. WrestleBoom says dream match Brock Lesnar versus Wardlow. Certainly would be a fantastic match to see there. I mean, obviously Wardlow does the the F5 maneuver, calls it the F10. So yeah, I mean, for me, I think it'd be quite an exciting idea of a dream match. I like what you've come up with there. I think certainly could be a lot of fun. Eric here says, what do you think could be a good way to keep Hater strong with a loss at Double or Nothing? That's presuming that she would lose at Double or Nothing. For me personally, I think that the way you do that is the fact she's injured right now, play into the story. That's the way to do it. And then do a return match then at the Wembley show. And I think that that's the way you do it. But of course, we do have Forbidden Door between now and then. Will they be looking to do, though, with New Japan? Are they going to bring in the IWGP Women's World Champion? Be interested to see what they do with that. But one thing's for sure, I'm going to keep this little prediction as we're talking Collision on this stream as well. Everyone's talking about CM Punk coming back. I'm going to predict Mercedes Moné to debut on the first Collision show. I think that she will show up either to build to Forbidden Door, because Forbidden Door I think is the week after. And what they could do then with that is they could build for that and perhaps even the Wembley show. So I wouldn't be surprised if they were to do that. But yeah, that's the way I would book it if Hayter was to lose. Play the injury angle is the best way to do it, and then make a win at a later date in the UK. Miro versus Wardlow, yes, please. That'd be an awesome match to do, wouldn't it, for the TNT Championship if they were to do that? Or would it be Christian Cage? Well, I'll have a better idea at some point later down the line. Tina's time going with the Yes Boy as well. Certainly some love for Pretty Deadly there. And of course, Tina, I'm with you. Always will love it. He could do wrong. He will do wrong. He's going to create headlines, but it's CM Punk. End of the day, he's given some great wrestling moments. You're never going to forget those moments. So yeah, CM Punk fan there. And I am as well. I can't lie. I do want to see him come back, whether it's going to be a good thing or a bad thing. I kind of like the idea of the fireworks. Russell Boom says, I've got a big question, and literally a big question. Where is Shanky? I've got no idea where Shanky is. Where is Dancing Shanky? I miss Dancing Shanky on a SmackDown. there is a hint of sarcasm with it. But at the same time, Shanky for me, I mean, why is he not within the share at this particular moment? He could have been with them. For me, I hope he's going back down to NXT. I think it'd be great for him to repackage himself. They've done it with obviously Deborah Kato. They've done it with Apollo Crews recently. A number of superstars, Dijak as well has done it. Shanky could do him the world of good to go to NXT. That's what I'd like to see him. But I've got no idea where he is. And if you're actually asking as well, specifically at this moment as well, I have no idea. Did you all see MJF return to Creator Pro? No, I didn't, Eric. And how did it go? You have to let me know all in the comments, Eric. I've got no idea with that one. Robbie says, wait, if this new Collision show is 1 to 3 like a WWE pay-per-view, do we need to choose which one we watch? Yeah, we do. We do. I think this is part of AEW strategy, and from obviously going off insider sources, so let's take this with a pinch of salt. But I think the idea of this being CM Punk's show, the early feelers that were put out was CM Punk believed that he could challenge against a WWE show and come out the victor. For me, I think when those shows happen, I think Collision going to need to put on big matches to even stand a remote chance of doing so, because WWE, for me, will win when it comes to pay-per-view weekends. But I'm guessing as well that means AEW for every week going forward will be doing pay-per-views on Sundays and not Saturdays ever again, I guess now with the Collision shows. Alyssa in the house. Hope you're doing well. Alyssa, been a while. Says, what's up? Stone Cold said Cody Rhodes beats Roman Reigns would get over, not over, just want something new title. Been too long since Cody Rhodes. The same start said Bad misses him. Wanted a war with AEW versus WWE. Well, now that would be a fun idea to have Cody trying to bring in more AEW stars to take on WWE. But obviously, Cody would be the heel at that moment to do so. We're not ready for that just yet, surely. For me, Cody versus Roman, I do think it's a long time if they want to build it to WrestleMania. I think Cody is a heavy favorite for the men's Money in the Bank ladder match to do the match at SummerSlam. If Stone Cold has said something, Stone Cold has got a good opinion of what he can see going forward when it comes to the wrestlers of the day. Of course, he's been himself and one of the biggest stars of all time. But I understand this. So you're wanting something new. Roman's almost hit that 1,000-day reign. Roman is apparently going to be present for Night of Champions, along with Money in the Bank and SummerSlam. Expected to take considerable time off after that. Although there is another Saudi show later in the year, so I do assume he'll be around for that as well. It'll be interesting if Roman loses the championship at SummerSlam or not. If he doesn't lose it at SummerSlam, Lisa, I think you're going to have to wait till WrestleMania, and I know that's not what you want to hear. Tina's Time suggests in the share for Shanky and watch him be added. It could happen. It could happen. Get 2 TVs is the suggestion as well for WWE and also for AEW Collision. You could also just have the laptop handy on one and have the TV on the other. Tina, I know you'll be streaming 2 at the same time. I've got no doubt on that. There'll probably even be 2 separate stream titles, just Tino filming himself on it, because it's Tino's time all the time, ladies and gentlemen. He's always streaming, and this guy is one of the hardest working people in our wrestling community. And recently hit the 1,000 subscribers, by the way. Tino, so deserved, my friend. I'm really, really happy for you. Russell Boom says, the New Day versus the Judgment Day, sign me up. That certainly is a potential now on Monday Night Raw. As soon as Kofi is back from his injury, certainly would be great to see. Yeah, sign me up for it. I can't wait for it either. Eric says he had a match. It was around 10 minutes. I'm guessing, are we talking about Shanky? I don't know. Where did we go from here? Where did it come from? Eric, you have to. Okay, he had a match. It was around. That's for MJF. That's created. Well, fantastic for him to go and do that. I'm sure it went pretty well. I'm sure the people that were in attendance absolutely loved it. Tina says, that's what I did, lol. I'm guessing with the 2 TVs there. Robbie says, this is just too much days without sleep. Poor UK fans. And as Tina says, Robbie, facts. It is facts indeed. I'm not going to lie to you. I wait to the next day these days. Unfortunately, sleep is life, says Tino, and sleep is underrated. That's all I can say. It's not overrated. It's underrated. I appreciate my sleep. So a lot of the times, this is why you don't see me do the live streams. I can't do it till the 4 a.m.s that we have to do for Monday Night Raws and for the big shows. I'd love to do it for you guys, but even when it comes to the shows that are on good times, usually more than not, I end up working as well. So one of these days, I'll try and give you a watch along or something. But yeah, it's very difficult when it's not the right time zone for me, unfortunately, and for Robbie either. Robbie says 2 TVs is a shout, Tino, but this rate show's being added. I'll need 5 TVs to watch everything. Yeah, I mean, if you want to watch your MLWs and other shows like that, absolutely. What about the retro stuff, Robbie? We can keep you up 24/7 at this rate. And not for the championship either. Eric says, how about the Rock winning Money in the Bank? Can we get Rock versus Roman? We can dream, Eric. We can dream. But Tina says, you know it as well. Richard JR in the house. Is it Richard Robes in disguise? Bianca retains the Raw Women's Championship. Certainly is a possibility. Certainly would be a favorite if that match with Oscar is going to happen at this point. And WrestleBoom here says Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus DIY at SummerSlam or Crown Jewel. Zero News reported potential at SummerSlam. We'll see if that does happen. Johnny Gargano teased it, said he's coming back, and he's wondered if it was a good idea or not. Definitely talking about Ciampa. I'm guessing Ciampa and Gargano will be a team moving forward, and that's a match I'd love to see. WrestleBoom here saying, I want to see AJ Styles also to win at Night of Champions. So we have got some fanfare for AJ Styles as well. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say very quickly, if you want to get any comments in, now is your time to do so. Happy to go for about another 5-10 minutes or so, but I'm going to do a quick announcement as well for those that voted on the retro poll. And obviously, the winner was Night of Champions 2015. That's the night Seth Rollins defended the United States Championship and the WWE Championship in the same night against John Cena and Sting. It was Sting's last WWE match. For those that want to see that retro review, it will be taking place on Sunday on this channel. That'll be at the moment listed at 10 p.m. UK time. That'll be 5 p.m. Eastern. I believe that's 2 p.m. Pacific time for those that want to come and join the review for that show. I think it's going to be a pretty fun one. Myself and Nick Steve will be taking place on that. And also as well, for those that are wondering for the busy schedule, that will be next week, the Night of Champions show. Of course, the Predictions podcast will be on Tuesday. And as well as that, also the Double or Nothing will be on Thursday. I'm looking to do recorded content for Impact Wrestling Under Siege and also for NXT Battleground. If I can do one for Battleground live, I will do so, but it is looking difficult to do that one, unfortunately, as a live stream at this particular moment. Tino coming in saying retro, loving idea. Retro is the way forward. It is fun to do some retro stuff, honestly. And Night of Champions 2015, I was really happy. It was almost unanimous, that particular one, when it was voted in. But that's pretty much how the channel is looking over the next week or so. And of course, we will look to see what we can do also going forward, then going in towards Money in the Bank. Tino, I would love to have you. I will get in touch with you after the show and see if I can get you on one of those shows if I can do. Let me know if Tuesday or Thursday suits you better, and I'll see what I can do for you there. Yeah, let's quickly go back through those last comments, and then we can wrap up the show, and I'll answer any questions you have about any of the content coming up on the channel as well. Nobuko says, do you think Bianca Belair and the Street Profits are going to turn heel in the summer? I've seen the rumor about it. I personally would like to see it. Will it happen? It remains to be seen at this point, but certainly would give both sets a fresh direction, fresh characters, fresh narrative moving forward. What can the Street Profits really do? They've gone and won all the tag team championships. They've done the babyface thing for what feels like the last 4 years on WWE TV. A heel turn could be quite interesting. And if you can make your comparisons to Montez Ford, of this great charisma guy that he is. Look with The Rock back in the day. Obviously, he was the babyface and went and turned heel, got himself to another level as a heel, used those heel tweaks into a babyface character when they changed him back, went on to superstardom. Could be the perfect thing for Montez Ford to be a breakout main eventer at some point further down the line. Going on to Bianca Belair, personally for me, again, she's done all she can do as a champion. At this particular moment, she's not going to drop the championship. This would be the most interesting thing to do with her character. If you remember back to 2012, I'm going to go to with a CM Punk, obviously. He was going in the middle of his 434 WWE Championship reign that he had, and he'd done everything he could do as a babyface, so they turned him heel on Raw 1000 to build up for CM Punk versus The Rock at the Royal Rumble 2013. That actually kept Punk ticking over of a different character, different narrative, and different things going forward, so it didn't grow stale because that Punk character had gone so heavy as a babyface over that previous year. So for Bianca Belair, may not be the worst thing in the world, especially if she's going to keep that championship. So for me personally, do I think they're going to do it? I'm not 100% because I think that they are great ambassadors for the company. Bianca Belair does a lot of this stuff where she goes outside of the company, I guess, for media appearances is probably the best way to put it, perhaps charity as well. So WWE might not want to break that, but I think it could be a good thing for television narrative and for storyline purposes. Robbie says, I really want Bianca to lose that belt now. I genuinely don't think I've ever been this bored of a women's title run. Cough, cough, Ronda Rousey, cough, cough. Just let it be over. I think we've got a little while to go, but obviously, someone winning money in the bank could be interesting to see how they'll be going forward. But for me, I've said it once, I'll say it again on this channel. We need to rename and rebrand those women's championships. I do not want to see a changeover of the championships once again from Raw to SmackDown with Rhea and Bianca in the ring. That for me is just so awkward when we've seen it before with other championships happen, whether it's tag team titles with the Street Profits and the New Day, whether it was the really awkward segment with Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair, of course, before Survivor Series 2021. I don't want to see that stuff going forward. It just ruins title reigns as well. And that wasn't the way that Street Profits should have become Grand Slam champions either. Bianca's currently the longest reigning Raw Women's Champion. If they're going to do that, just tweak the names of the titles. Give us the WWE World's Women's Championship and just have like the Universal Women's Championship as well. And if you want, you can even do what Ronda Rousey said. Take the women's out of the title. Just have a new, fresh name that goes for that championship. Now, I must admit, can't think of a fantastic name at the top of my head. The Galactic Championship probably seems a bit extreme out there, but something that's fresh and unique and different. Just make it like that. It's much better than championship trades. And so far as well, I suppose our intelligence is not being insulted, but we have a Raw champion on SmackDown and a SmackDown champion on Raw. Can someone please explain it to me? It doesn't make any sense at all. I've gone on a rant there, didn't I? Robbie says 10 p.m. UK time. You saw this isn't a show. There isn't a show at that time. I'll try and make it, Steve. Yeah, it's UK time. That is pretty much what I'm going to do for Sunday show for sure. For Tuesday show, it may be slightly earlier, and hopefully as well for the Double or Nothing show as well. Because next Thursday I'm doing double duty as well. Not just going to be doing on my channel, also going to be on the Mark Wrestling podcast for their show as well. Midnight UK time, which I believe will then be 7 p.m. Eastern. Do fantastic stuff, OTM. Robbie, I know you know OTM very, very well, and I'll be a part of their Night of Champions prediction show. So we'll be a slightly early stream on the Thursday for Double or Nothing. Richard, with a spoiler, interesting. Judgment Day throws Edge of Styles out, setting up Bianca Belair, Edge, and Edge of Styles versus the Judgment Day in a six-man tag match. That would ruin the whole show, my friend. It would ruin the whole show. But yes, I would have called this up. Tina, definitely get in touch with me, my friend, and we'll sort that out. Russell Boom says, Rhea Ripley versus Natalia. I don't care if it happens at Night of Champions. To be fair, I don't think many do. But do you know what? Natalia, she is good in ring. It's certainly someone that's been there established for a long time. It's someone that's been a notch on Rhea Ripley's belt. But I do understand where some fans would come from. Natalia, of course, has been around for a long, long time, has not been booked as the strongest competitor for a while now. So to just throw her in this position without that sort of build probably doesn't help. But it should be a good match nonetheless. And of course, Rhea Ripley would comfortably win. Russell Boom says, do I think the Judgment Day will turn a face one day? If their popularity remains, never say never. That's what I would say. But right now, I am loving the heel run with this group. I love the edge that they've got. No pun intended, kicking him out of the group. But obviously, Finn Balor does amazing promos. The best work he's been on the main roster. Damian Priest is really coming into his own. Dominic Mysterio is a whole different book on his own. I mean, Jesus, the guy has become a different guy altogether. And he's getting booed in every building as well. They've booked him to perfection. And Rhea Ripley, we mentioned a minute ago, Mummy has literally gone to what could be a WrestleMania main eventer. Let's be fair. She is one of, if not, along with Bianca Belair, the two top faces right now, it seems, with the women's division holding those championships. And obviously, they'll look to establish that further if Rhea Ripley can beat Becky Lynch at some point in the summer. So I wouldn't be surprised if they did it. And we mentioned an Australian show earlier in this stream. If they did that at some point, I guess that could be a place you would have Rhea Ripley as the face. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see if they will do it one day. I would say never on that one. Russell Boom says, oh, great. Ronda Rousey is back on Raw. She's not everybody's favorite. I will grant that. I still want to see Ronda versus Becky. I know I'm on my hill on my own with that one, but still, I look forward to when they do that match. Ronda and Shayna as tag team champions. She's not going for the main championship at this moment. I think is the right direction for it going forward. And WWE finally has a women's tag team division to work with as well. So there should be some fun matches that they hopefully can do. Ronda is more protected as well, not being in the ring 24/7. Shayna can do some of the work as well. Robbie says, can't wait to see you on OTM, Steve. Two of my favorite wrestling channels collabing. Can't wait. Thank you, Robbie. It's very kind indeed. I'm really looking forward to being on their channel as well. It should be a really fun time. So for those, what I'll do is once their stream becomes available, I will share it on my community page so everyone can set up the notifications so they know not to miss it. And obviously, for those that haven't subscribed to OTM as well, they do great work on there. It's a weekly wrestling, sort of podcast that they do. And obviously, next week's going to be a big week. They're going to do Night of Champions and Double or Nothing in one show. So, yeah, it should be a really, really big show for them. And like I say, I'm looking forward to being a part of it, especially for my part, which will be the Night of Champions part. But of course, I will be sticking around in those comments for the Double or Nothing session as well. Eric says, in my opinion, Bad Bunny and R-Truth are the only memorable 24/7 moments. I quite enjoyed Drake Maverick's times, I must admit, especially the wedding. I thought was quite fun. They were really creative in the start, but like you said, I think once you get to a certain point, I think it all kind of blurs into one. And I think it was right then to get rid of that championship after a while. Robbie says Natalia is a very underrated one for me. I still like Natalia a lot, as do I. I think that she's good in ring. I just think she's not presented as the someone that will win the top title. But I'm with you. I don't understand the hate for Natty personally. She's a veteran. She's been there for a very, very long time. Robbie says the UK fans would destroy Dominic and would be hilarious. The fact is, well, he turned heel in the UK as well. The big shock that happened on the night, the big boos, the reaction that it got, and it continued across the States as well. I really hope they book Dominic for the Money in the Bank show, even perhaps in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Can you imagine that heat when he climbs the ladder to try and win the briefcase? That would be amazing. So yeah, for me, I think it will be hilarious as well. I really hope that they do it. Eric says, could you imagine JD McDonough going to Judgment Day and Cora Jade joining Damage Control to replace EO? Certainly be a place to actually use Cora Jade if they wanted to do that and keep it as a free woman group afterwards with Damage Control. My worry with Damage Control is it's just not worked out so far. To rebook it, I don't know if that's the right move going forward. Maybe everyone should just go their separate ways. But the idea of Cora and Dakota perhaps being a team could be quite fascinating. So I quite like the idea of that as well. JD McDonough, certainly now definitely see that happening. Him going to Judgment Day, I imagine, will happen at some point in the future. Daz asking which or was my favorite Sting match. Great question, this one. I really have to go through the vault very quickly in the brain. I would probably go into the WCW era. I think his matches with Vader particularly stand out for me. I have done a retro review on Rated R's. Rated R for Wrestling's channel a long time ago. Super Brawl 3 back in 1993, which of course the White Castle of Fear. It was basically a strap match between Sting and Vader. That one sticks out in the brain as one that definitely is one of my favorites, I'd say, with Sting. There's been some great ones amongst the time. Obviously, Starrcade 97 should be the favorite because of the fact that Sting toppled Hogan, but the way they booked it was a massive botch. So yeah, for me, Sting versus Vader, those matches were always terrific. And also Sting versus Ric Flair matches in the 90s as well were pretty cool as well, especially in the early days. Russell Boom says, who do you think who will Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn partner on Raw against Imperium? Great question, this one. It's one of two people. It's either Matt Riddle, and we kind of get Kevin Owens getting mad of the idea of Riddle being there again, or it's going to be Cody Rhodes. Obviously, Cody made the save after the show. I'm not sure if Riddle made the save after the show as well, but certainly it's going to be one of those two. If I had to stick my neck out, I'm going to say Riddle just purely because I think Cody's going to have his hands full with Brock Lesnar, but certainly either of those I think are likely. Robbie, finishing off with our last comment, he says Cora and Dakota versus Isla and Albert could be a banger. Certainly would be an interesting match. I wouldn't be against seeing it. Would be down for it. I'm interested to see what they can do with the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. Nothing's been addressed on NXT so far, and obviously they've not appeared on SmackDown yet. I imagine this week now we've got more TV time. Everything's established with the World Heavyweight Championship match at Night of Champions. I think we're going to see more NXT talents shine on this Friday's edition of SmackDown. Like I said before, Grayson Waller got the Grayson Waller effect with AJ Styles. Pretty deadly, yes boy, against the Brawling Brutes. And Cameron Grimes was featured last week as well. So I'm guessing Isla and Alba will get some time to shine on Friday this week as well. Fingers crossed. And really, the last comment is Seth Rollins wins the World Heavyweight Championship at Night of Champions, then Seth will be a better champion than Roman Reigns. I'm guessing your reason for that, Wrestle Boom, is that he will be there all the time. And that is pretty much Seth's motive for this championship. And I guess time will tell how that reign goes, if it proves to be or not. But of course, with Roman winning, being 1,000 days as champion by the time that Seth would win it, Roman would have that edge to begin with. We can't argue that. But that's all from me anyway. Thank you everyone that's watched this video. It's been a lot of fun doing this. It's been a little while since I've been able to do one of these Q&A. So thank you all that has been involved in the chat with your fantastic comments and questions as always. Like I say, it's your show. This would be nothing without you all. If you've enjoyed the video, then please consider hitting the like button. If you can share it with a friend as well, that'd be amazing. Let them know SCW is here. Subscribe if anyone is new to the channel that is watching this for the first time. If you're watching on delay, thank you. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this on delay. And also the fact as well that you watched the whole thing as well. Really do appreciate it. Like I say, we'll be back for Night of Champions a retro review, or a rewind of 2015. It's 2015. It's not too far away from retro, is it? Let's be fair. But at the same time, it'd be great to do that live stream on Sunday, 10 p.m. UK time. Tuesday will be Night of Champions 2023 predictions. Thursday will be Double or Nothing predictions. And of course, like I say, scattered in between all of that will be Impact Wrestling's Under Siege and also NXT Battleground. Robbie, set your alarm clock next weekend. There is 4 pay-per-view shows. We're going to be quite busy as UK fans. But to Eric Douglas with one last comment here, he says, if you were a wrestler, would you be a heel or a face? I think I'd let you all decide here if I'd be a better heel or a face. For me personally, I think it's more fun playing a heel, but I'd like to think I'd be a babyface. I'd like to think there's some likability factor out there. But hey, one thing's for sure: if I could ever be in a wrestling capacity, I think a GM, or I'd like to maybe be an announcer. I think that could be a lot more fun for me personally, rather than getting chopped by Gunter each and every week. But hey, that's just my opinion on it. But thanks all for watching anyway. Take care, look after yourselves and each other. And probably is going to get some sleep all week in preparation. Thank you very much as well for the kind words indeed. Thank you all for watching as well. Look after yourselves and each other. We'll look to see if we can get a video out in the next couple of days as well. If not, I'll see you all here on Sunday. Take care. Thank you all for watching, and the compliments keep flying in there. Thank you, Robbie. If I was a GM, by the way, I would book all of your favorite matches. That's a guarantee on Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite, Collision, MLW, hell, in the indie shows round the corner. I'll do it for all of you. I'll give the matches you want to see. Take care, look after yourselves. I'll see you next time.